Criminals know right from wrong. You know if you go out there and rape somebody, you know you're going to jail. You do it anyway. So why should the courts or anybody have mercy on you? You did the crime, do the time, point blank, plain and simple.
She's outraged and ready to fight. New at 10 o'clock, a Memphis woman attacked in her home says she feels victimized once again by her attacker's early release from prison.
He's set to walk free tomorrow, and tonight his victim wants to know what happened to truth in sentencing. Action News 5's Anne-Marie Hartman investigates.
Flashback to 1998, Kimberlee Morton clinging to life after she was brutally raped, stabbed, and burned with bleach by a man she thought was her friend.
I mean, he was a great guy, so I thought, up until the day he tried to kill me.
Morton's attacker, Carlos Thomas, has been behind bars since that dreadful day. But according to the Tennessee Department of Corrections, he will walk out of prison after serving only 85% of his sentence.
Rapists should do their time at 100%. I mean, it shouldn't be no good behavior when you do heinous crimes like that. And he lived upstairs right there.
Carlos Thomas shared an apartment with his girlfriend right above Morton. She considered him a close friend until November 19th, 1998, when she let him into her apartment to use the phone.
Then he just grabbed me and just dragged me to my bed and threw me on the bed and just savagely raped me.
Morton says Thomas strangled her until she passed out.
When I woke up, he had already stabbed me repeatedly. He had already poured the bleach on me. He had left the knife in my side. He had telephone cords around my neck, and he had already poured the bleach all over my body. It left me with second-degree burns.
Instead of going into hiding, Morton went public.
You see, Kimberlee was a beautiful, aspiring model when she was brutally attacked. And
to share her story of survival with Maury Povich and Montel Williams.
I'd rather wear these scars versus sleeping in my grave.
Almost 2.5 years after his arrest, Thomas entered a guilty plea and waived his right to a jury trial.
He pled guilty the day before the trial.
He was given time served on the attempted murder charge and sentenced to 15 years for aggravated rape. His judgment sheet indicates he would have to serve all 15 years.
Aggravated rape at 100%.
Fast forward now to 2011, when Morton learned the Department of Justice allows offenders to earn time reduction credits for completing programs and participating in activities. Thomas earned enough reduction credits to shave 2 years and 3 months off his sentence.
So I'm thinking he has to do all his time. That's what my judgment sheet says. Aggravated rape 100%. And now I find out that he's getting out.
Kimberlee Morton will never forget what happened to her here back in 1998, but she is focused on moving forward and making changes in the law so that no other victims will feel cheated by the justice system.
Morton pleaded with the parole board for truth in her attacker's sentencing. Prosecutors amended Thomas' release order to include placing him under supervision for life, a law that was not on the books when he was convicted. And as part of standard procedure, he will be placed on the sex offender registry. But his freedom will come early.
And that's why I'm going to fight to get that changed.
A fight that began with an unthinkable crime and has grown into a battle for victims of violence everywhere.
Just because something horrible has happened to you, that doesn't mean you can't go on. That doesn't mean you can't be free. You have to forgive. I have forgiven him. But just because I forgive him doesn't mean he shouldn't do all his time.
For the Action News 5 investigators, I'm Anne-Marie Hartman.
Morton has started a petition for stricter truth in sentencing laws and plans to present it to Tennessee lawmakers, the people who can make those changes. You can read the Department of Corrections statement on Thomas's early release and the reasons behind it at WMCTV.com. Carlos Thomas declined our request for an interview.
Action News 5 this week told the story of Kimberlee Morton, a Memphis woman who 13 years ago was raped, beaten, and left for dead. She did not die, and the man who committed the crime was sent away to prison for 15 years. That seems like a light sentence, but Morton was assured that her attacker would have to serve 100% of that sentence. Fast forward to this week, and that criminal is being let out of prison more than 2 years early. Morton is pushing Tennessee lawmakers for stronger truth in sentencing legislation. Ms. Morton had to endure an unthinkable act, but at least she's here today to fight for better crime laws. There are many other unbelievable cases across the state where people have died because their attackers were let out of jail after serving only a small portion of their sentences. We all know that the answer to our crime problem cannot simply be lock them up and throw away the key. But Ms. Morton and many other crime victims deserve straight answers about the prison time their attackers will actually be required to serve. That's my turn. Now it's your turn to comment on this segment or anything else. Email yourturn@wmctv.com or call 800-465-1210.
Sentencing, and tonight a Mid-South lawmaker is reacting to our story. He says he's committing to changing Tennessee's sentencing law. West Tennessee reporter Justin Hansen talked with Representative Barrett Rich today, and Justin joins us now live here in the studio with more. Justin?
Joe, Representative Rich says he was shocked to find out Carlos Thomas was getting out of prison today after serving 85% of a 15-year sentence.
I'd rather wear these scars versus sleeping in my grave.
Kimberlee Morton will never forget the day 13 years ago when she was left for dead.
Then he just grabbed me and just dragged me to my bed and threw me on the bed and just savagely raped me.
Morton was brutally raped, stabbed, and burned with bleach. Her attacker, Carlos Thomas, has been behind bars until today. He was released from prison for good behavior after serving 85% of a 15-year sentence. That's 2 years and 3 months early.
Why should an inmate who has been incarcerated for committing a violent and heinous act against a Tennessean get out early for doing what he's supposed to do?
Thomas has earned time reduction credits for completing programs and participating in activities. State Representative Barrett Rich says Thomas and others in prison for similar crimes should not get out early because of good behavior behind bars. Rich says violent offenders like Thomas are behind bars for a reason and should stay there until they serve all their time.
And if he doesn't complete those particular programs and doesn't act as a model inmate, he should have to serve even more time.
And more time is exactly what Kimberlee Morton is fighting for as well. Now, Representative Rich drove to Nashville today. While there, he was hoping to get a bill drafted that would force criminals to stay in prison for the entire